Joining me in studio is Selorm Dzameke. He's one of the returnee students. He's just joining us for an up-close conversation about the situation in Ukraine and how the situation has impacted their education and of many other individuals who remain trapped in there. Thank you for joining me, Selorm. It must be relief for you that finally you are back home here in Ghana.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, it is actually.
Now, walk us through the moments when the attacks began in Ukraine. Where exactly were you, and what was the sense you got from all that had been happening?
Okay, verily, I must say it was troubling hearing this. Of course, me being a fourth-year medical student of the Bukovina State Medical University, and hearing this is quite troubling. I just have 2 years to complete school, and this thing just happened. And so, on the 24th to 25th, we had a bombing from one of the cities, which is just 2 hours away from me, my city. And it was so troubling that I just woke up and told my brother that we should maybe make a trip to Ghana because there's a likelihood that flights will be grounded and all. So, lo and behold, we actually took money from our parents, ready to book our flights to Ghana. And yes, they told us flights have been grounded and all airspaces have been shut down. And so we had to use a border to any neighboring country to Ukraine.
Okay.
And the one which was closer to me as at then was Romania, which is one hour drive from my city, Czech. Yes. So
okay. We've heard stories, for example, of people who had to be in long queues at the border post areas for several hours, some of them 6 to 7 hours, etc. Tell us about that process of moving from your city across the border. What was the process like? Okay,
personally, like I said, the journey was supposed to be for about an hour because the Romanian border to my city, or from my city to the Romanian border, was very short. It's actually short. 1 hour drive, everyone can bear that is short. And we organized ourselves, and then we took a few stuff we can come along with. So we go on the bus, and then hoping that we can get to the border safely. And we actually didn't get to the border.
Okay.
Because there were a lot of cars parked on the road. People had to get out of their cars, take out their stuff, and then walk towards the border. So that was it. That was what they were doing. So we also thought as much to do that. And night was coming too. I was like, no, we can't stay here till another day or to the next morning too. I actually got down from the bus and took my stuff from the vehicle, the bus, and then I started walking towards the border. So I walked for about an hour and 30 minutes.
Okay. I'll have you hold on briefly for me. I'll come back to you. But let's get on Zoom now and speak to Raymond Afotando. He's still in Ukraine. He, we understand, was supposed to join a train so he can move from the troubled city to one of the border towns. Thank you for joining us, Raymond. If you are there, I want to find out where you are now. Have you been able to make the trip to the border city yet? I'm afraid we've just lost Raymond there. Now, you were continuing about how it took you more than 1 hour, 30 minutes on foot.
Yeah. The journey with the bus, even with the bus, we were supposed to get to the border within an hour, without traffic or without any obstruction on the road. But unfortunately, it took us more than an hour. It took us about 2 hours to get to where we actually got to, not to the border. So we had to get down from the bus, and then from the place the bus dropped us to the border, I walked for about 1 hour and 30 minutes. It wasn't easy. Having your backpack with your luggage with you wasn't easy. Walking on the way to the border and getting there, not having any hope who is going to meet you there. Because it happens that we don't have an embassy. Ghana doesn't have an embassy in Ukraine, nor in Romania or anywhere. So we were in touch with the deputy and ambassador to Czech Republic, one Tijani Ahmed. I don't know if you know.
Okay.
Yeah, so he actually was talking to us, and he told us that he's setting off from Czech Republic to meet us there.
Okay.
So we actually got there.
Let me hold on.
Okay,
I think we've been joined by Raymond. Before we lose you, Raymond, where exactly are you now? Tell us about the situation there.
Currently, we are on our way to the Hungarian border. We from my city, that is Sumy, to the Hungarian border. So we are still on the way. It's a long drive. We're talking to you right now. So we are still going.
And we understand that's one of the areas where fighting has been intense in the last few days. You hear sirens go off every 1 hour. how have you been able to go through all of this up until now that you are trying to make your way to the border town?
My city, for instance, I think there is no train coming in, no trains coming out. It's like they bought one of the railway lines, so no trains are working at the moment. And the buses as well, no buses working as well. So we just had to get a taxi, drive through the forest for like 6 to 7 hours to reach the next town, that is Portava, before we got a train and traveled from Portava to Lviv. That was like 12 to 13 hours before we got a car to go from Lviv to the Hungarian border. So that is where we are going right now.
Wow, that must be some traumatic experience traveling all these hours on road without knowing exactly what the future looks like. But have you been in touch with any official at all so that when you get to the border city, you're able to be facilitated to cross?
Yeah. I've spoken to a couple of media heads and a couple of people I know at the border. So I think we are still on our way.
And are there any other students with you on this trip? Do you know if there are some more who may be left still in Sumy and many of the other cities around where you were?
Yeah, we are currently 4 boys in the car I'm in right now. And a lot of people, most of the people are back there. No evacuation plan. I don't know if they are planning on anything, but it seems like nothing is changing. So they are still there. But we are just 4 in the car as I'm talking to you right now.
All right. So thank you, Raymond Tando there. He just telling us about the struggles he's going through to be able to get to the nearest border so they can be transported across. You were talking about all the challenges. So during the period of transit, how are you and the rest of you coping in terms of feeding, shelter, etc.?
Okay, so my uncle happens to be an apostle in the Church of Pentecost. So we told him that this is the situation. So he made calls to the neighboring countries, the national heads in the neighboring countries. So since we were crossing to Romania, he called the Romanian national head, one Pastor Sumy Ramirez, who came to our aid. Came to our aid. Yeah, so he actually made arrangements for us after we crossed the border.
Okay.
Because we weren't expecting any official from the government or from anywhere. But Honorable Tijani had assured us that he was coming. I mean, Czech Republic to Romania is quite a distance, so we knew it was going to take some time. So that was what happened.
Okay.
And so we got there. Honestly, I was overwhelmed with the welcome from the Romanians. It was so nice because I was parched and I was hungry too. And when I got there, I was cold. So they gave me hot tea and food was a lot there.
Okay.
Trust me.
Finally, it's a big relief that you're back. We thank God that you're able to make it back here. Now, what's the way forward, your education? You say you are in 4th year medical school. So do you know for certain as we speak what's happening to your education?
Yeah, the school has assured us that for now we should go on break for 2 weeks, but certainly we are going to resume school online. Okay. Because we're having online classes before we actually took this trip. So they assured us that we can go to our countries and then we can resume to online too. I'm hoping for the best, nothing but the best.
Okay.
But certainly we will go back to Ukraine, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. You were here, the Selorm Dzameke. He is the Vice President of NUKS, Chernivsky, just speaking to us, sharing his experience about escaping the war situation in Ukraine. Earlier, you heard the one of a student who's currently on transit headed for one of the border towns, escaping Sumy, which we are told is one of the regions which has been completely bombarded by the Russian forces.